we would pay for like a UFC fight. It'd be like $90 for them to watch this like UFC fight. And I would make a bunch of food and all the boys would come and like watch UFC and shoot baskets and like eat all the food. And they make a total mess. So I think if you
because they're boys.
Yeah, because they're boys. I think if you want kids to be able to come to your house, like you can't have your house be so precious. And so, I mean, I like my house. I think it's pretty. I obviously collect pretty things. And so I don't think that it means like that they get to take all your sofa cushions and beat each other up and destroy your stuff. But I do think like you just can't worry about things being messy. But it's okay too to be like, y'all clean up before you leave. And they all pitch in and clean up and it takes like 5 minutes.
So we're talking about how to be the house where all the kids want to hang out at. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Paula Faris Show. I am your host, Paula. Can't wait to dig into that topic in just a second. But we have been talking about this movement to clean up our food and what American food is doing to us and what it's doing to our kids, plus how to make some easy swaps. We've had those conversations the last 2 weeks on the podcast. Make sure you've checked those out with Vani Hari, who is known as the Food Babe, as well as Dr. Josh Axe. Especially parents, I want you to listen to those 2 episodes. Share them with everybody you know, because there is an undeniable movement happening right now here in America to clean up our food. Dr. Josh Axe all but guarantees that food dyes are going to be removed from the American food system within the next couple of years. Fascinating conversations. Make sure you have checked those out the last couple of weeks on the podcast. And speaking of food, I saw a post on Instagram not too long ago, and it said, how to be the house that everyone wants to come to. And it was from a therapist who had worked with teenagers for over a decade. And the therapist said this, I am reading it verbatim. She said, don't be the house with the alcohol, be the house with the food. Believe it or not, most of the teens that I see do not want to drink. She says they just feel that there's no other option if you're going to be social. When parents provide alcohol or allow it, they then have nowhere else to go. She says to be the loving hard ass. Then they can blame you. But if your home is a safe place for kids, full of food and laughter, she said it'll pay off. So I posted that on Instagram. I got so many responses from you that I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to it. But I want you to listen to this one particular response from Lynn P. She said that it started with her girls as, quote, pancakes after prom, and it became a tradition. It didn't matter if she was flipping flapjacks at 1 a.m. The kids included her in conversations, the goings on, and sometimes they still call her to update her. She said, if you want to know what's going on with your kids and their friends and who the people they're hanging around are, feed them. I love that. So that's why we are talking about it. And it is prom season. So this is a very timely conversation to have. And I'm inviting my very good friend, Logan Wolfram, to the conversation. We're going to cover a lot of ground, you guys, in this conversation. Logan has showed up for me and my family in a lot of ways lately. And you're going to hear about them in this conversation, including the mystery of a bat. Yes, a bat. B-A-T, not a baseball bat, but a flying bat, like the scary kind. The mystery of a bat in her mountain cabin. You'll hear how I recently hurt my back at that cabin, plus our random phobias and why we love cowbells. Again, I said we're covering a lot of ground in this conversation, but Logan has showed up for me and my family, and it has involved food. And we talk about the power of showing up, of being present, of being available, and how to be the house that all the kids want to hang out at by feeding them. So without further ado, here is Logan. I should warn you, buckle up. We are covering a ton of ground in this conversation. It is a fun conversation and a forewarning. If you're hungry, we do talk about food quite a bit. So just a little forewarning for you there. If you're already hungry, you might be hungrier by the end of the episode, but enjoy this conversation, how to be the house where all the kids want to hang out at. Logan, it's so good to see you. And I'm digging this new jacket that you have.
Thank you. I did not earn it, but I did embellish it.
For those that are watching, it is a U.S. Air Force camo jacket. So somebody from the Air Force must have sold this.
Someone named Brown sold it to me on eBay. Yeah. But it's got some cool patches. And one of my friends, she's in her 70s and she's a super cool artist. And I'm going to be like her one day when I grow up.
You are super
She had one on and I was like, I want to be like you. And so I went home and I ordered one and then I cut it off, cropped it, hemmed it, and then I painted on the back, which I won't show you now, even though I already showed you, because my butt will be involved in that little turnaround.
Well, this just goes to show, Logan, you are like my really artsy, creative friend who loves to cook and who gets stuff done. A fellow Enneagram 8. We get along really, really well.
We do. We do.
We kind of complete one another. And before we jump into the topic today about like how to be the house where all the kids want to go to, I just want to say a big thank you because you have showed up for me and my family since my mom passed. But even before that, like you are one of the few friends who has made dinner for me. And we don't even live in the same town. We live about an hour 15, but you and I got together for lunch and you're like, what do you need at Trader Joe's? I'll go to Trader Joe's. So you showed up to lunch with a Trader Joe's haul. And also, unbeknownst to me, you had made dinner for our family and gifted us with dinner. And that blessed me and my family so much. And I think it just underscores the importance of friendships and doing life together. And I just want to say thank you. I didn't mean to get all emotional, but thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I think dinner is one of those things. I think it's a legit, like the ministry of a meal is it. People don't think about it in this way, but I'm like, you don't have to think about what you're going to make. You don't have to shop for what you're going to make. You don't have to prep for what you're going to make. You just get to like have it, which is why people like eat out or whatever, but you still can't beat a home cooked meal. And so I have a big old deep freezer and I put stuff in there for last minute kind of dinners that I need to grab, or when my kids are coming over and I need to come up with something really quickly to talk about the thing that you want to talk about. You got to be prepared to feed the people. And some of that is like prep work on a day that you have extra time. So,
yes. And that's such a great segue. You talk about feeding your kids and their friends. And if you want to be the house, and you have found this to be true, if you want to be the house where all the kids want to hang out, you don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to be the craft mom. You have to be the mom that feeds them. It's pretty simple. And you are that family. Yeah. Your kids and their friends love to be at your house because you cook for them.
I do. Let it be said that I have 2 boys. One is a freshman in college now. He's at Samford University, which I'll be repping on my cup today. And then
Samford, not Stanford, but Samford.
Samford.
In
Birmingham.
That's in Birmingham. There we go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then my other son is a freshman in high school. So I have 2 freshmen, high school and college. And, you know, I was thinking about it today. And listen, my older son, I mean, his friends, they did really come here a whole lot in high school. But I want to say, too, it still remains to be seen a little bit with my younger one, because there's always different factors. So that sort of play into it. They do always know that I will feed them, but it changes too when your kids can drive. Like there's just a lot that kind of shifts as their lives shift, as they play different sports and do different things. And, you know, there's different friends that kind of come in and out during different seasons too, I think.
So you had responded to something. So you and I, we've known each other for, it's going on a couple of years now. I know that we
met when Annie came to Greenville.
Annie F. Downs came to Greenville. And then we just kept in touch and we've gotten together. You recently, by the way, gifted my family and I a wonderful getaway to your cabin in the North Carolina mountains. And we had a great time, even though my back still hates you for it.
Well, that's on you. We should tell them what happened that time that you thought you were younger than you were.
Okay. So anyway, it's spring break in our home. And I was telling you, I said, you know, we're not sure what we're going to do. We have like 3 days to get away because our schedules are crazy. So I was like, I think we might go skiing in North Carolina. And you're like, why don't you guys go to the mountain cabin? It's in a beautiful part of the mountains in North Carolina. It's just about 2 hours from our house. And I was like, no way, you'd give that to us. So you gifted that to us. Thank you so much. Again,
you're welcome. People are going to think I'm way nicer than I am.
No,
They're
you're
going to
awesome.
think I'm nicer. I mean, I'm pretty nice, but
you show up. You show up for your people. And that's like the key to friendships. Are you available? And you show up for your people. So anyway, you're like, this is a family cabin. It's been in the family for a long time. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's like a piece of history. All right. And so just outside of the back, we've just arrived at Logan's mountain cabin. Beautiful, stunning. We are all in awe.
It's not fancy. It's not
No,
fancy.
it's a rustic cabin,
Yeah.
but there is a very rudimentary tree swing out back, and it is on a hill. So this isn't like a tire swing, it's on a
It's
hill.
a piece of wood with a knot
Mhm.
and a
Yeah.
rope through it.
Like I said,
That's
very
it.
rudimentary. So I literally tell the kids, watch how it's done. Okay. Now it's hard. The one thing it was hard to mount because it's on a hill.
You have to like
And
jump and pull yourself up, like,
yes,
and fling your legs around from the outside.
nothing ladylike about that. So
No.
because I really couldn't jump up and fling my legs around it. Everybody's probably like, "Where is this conversation going? And what are you guys talking about?" We're talking about a tree swing, okay? So
And then we're talking about having kids at our house.
yes,
Anyways, proceed.
okay, it's gonna make sense. So I pull the rope behind the tree to kind of use my other leg, okay, to get on the tree. But I get a running start, and then I jump off the tree and then jump onto the piece of wood and rope. I swing all the way out, all 162 pounds of me, and I am barreling back towards the tree, cannot turn my body. I smack right into the tree, my back. And because it's on a hill, Logan, it's on a hill, I couldn't just like tumble off.
You can't just fall off. No.
I had to grip the rope and just slide down and then tumble. I went to urgent care. I swore I had a broken rib. I had to get a shot in my butt for the pain, and I've gone to the chiropractor. So all that to say, don't try to show up your kids.
No.
Don't, and if you're gonna get on a tree swing, maybe have a spotter.
Well, and you must not have taken honors physics in high school like I did. But
I know all about kinetic energy.
if you start out like in the one direction, you're coming back in the same direction.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we start from a different point when we jump on. But I have, in fairness to your experience, I have smashed into the tree before too. So
you have?
Anyway, I have not with as much force as you. I've not had like
blunt force trauma.
Yeah. I have not
oh my gosh! So that's how it started. That's how our day started right when we arrived. But it didn't hurt as bad like as it did the next couple of days, and that's when I ended up in urgent care. I'm like, I can't move. I think I may have.
Can't believe you had to go to urgent care for my.
I know, Logan. It would have been such a great story because in my 49, almost 50 years of life, I've never broken a bone, and I thought this is going to be it.
It's always something stupid anyway. Like the worst injuries are from something really dumb. It's like, oh, I pulled my back. Putting on my seatbelt, like something ridiculous.
I tweaked my arm fastening my bra. It's like something.
Perimenopause gives us good stories that are stupid.
But all of that, my kids felt bad for me, but they've been completely making fun of me. They'll say, Mom, show us how it's done in any capacity in anything.
You need to put a tree swing up at your house now for your kids.
Yes, I will. And I'll never attempt, only if it's level.
And you may never even want to go back to the mountains now after that. And the worst of all, Paula found a dead bat in my mountain house. And I'm so sorry. It happens.
I found it literally on the day we were leaving, right as we were cleaning up. I saw it. And I was like,
my whole life I've been going there and I've never seen a bat inside. Mice, yes. 1,000%. There have been mice. Yeah. But a bat, that was a fresh one. And it was in the basement too, which is even stranger.
I know. So, we're trying to piece this together, like how it got in.
I have no idea. We even had the place cleaned before, but you went around rustling pillows trying to make it look nice. That's special little surprise.
The only reason I was straightening up the place. So, Logan, I used to clean apartments and houses from the time I was like 13 years old all the way post-college. Yeah, I love cleaning. So I was just straightening it up before we left. I always try to leave it a lot nicer than we found it. And I'm not saying it was beautiful when we found it, but I'm literally doing the walkthrough and I notice a pillow's out of place downstairs in a room. This cabin is just perfect, by the way. There's a couple rooms downstairs, a couple rooms upstairs. Well, this was in the room that we weren't staying in. And I just I'm going to go fluff that pillow. I walked over and I saw something. I was like, is that? And I get grossed out. Like I immediately had to leave. I was like, John, I don't know what that is. Please dispose of it and take a picture of it. So I just.
Now you know how we tell if people are, paying attention to the details.
Yeah, I pay attention to the details. We found a little bat. in the mountain cabin.
I'm glad it was dead.
It was dead.
Imagine if it was alive and you'd gotten there. You would have left. You would have departed immediately.
If I would have found that the first day, I would have slept in the car. I'm not going to lie.
I would have felt so terrible.
I'm already the type that if I know if there's spiders or mice anywhere, I'll sleep with the covers over my mouth.
We talked about this.
I know. Does anybody else listening have that weird phobia? Just like sometimes you'll cover your mouth for fear of spiders or rodents or anything.
Yeah, you sleep. Did you know? Well, I feel like this is one of those like reportery kind of things that years ago I heard that on average people eat like 10 pounds of bugs in their lifetime or something like that.
Okay, it's not 10 pounds, but we do ingest quite
a few lot.
Insects that crawl down our throat while we're sleeping. It's really gross. I guess maybe we should all wear a CPAP and we'll be fine. Just cover our nose. So my husband's golden.
Sexy.
Oh, that's sexy. You know what? Okay, let's get to the meat of this.
We have to talk about our real conversation.
I wanted people to get a chance to know our friendship, how we know one another, but also how you've showed up for me and my family in so many ways that just, it has meant the world to me. And I'm joking. I do not blame you. I have no ill will towards you in my back.
Oh my God.
I'm just joking, right?
I totally know that. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I promise I didn't put it there for you. So
my ribs will never be the same, but
you'll have the memories.
I'll
always have the memories.
I'll have the memory. And I'll have you to thank for that, Logan. So you do love to cook. I hate to cook, but I will say there's a couple of things that I can make. And I always keep the drawers and snack bins overflowing. And I will say I noticed that kids love to come to our house because they love the snacks and they love the food. Like it's really pretty basic if you want to be the house where all the kids come to. You just got to feed them. You got to give them
food. One of my friend's moms told me years ago when my kids were really little, she said she figured out what her children's friends' favorite snacks were. And she would have those snacks there as well. So like when you kind of figure out with my older son, I mean, I'll cook dinners a lot. And so I've got several different dinners. At first I thought, well, I'll just make a bunch of different things, different times. Well, and now, like over the course of high school, there were several different things that I made for Walker and his friends. And now they've got their favorites. So they will request, like at Thanksgiving, they all were back from college and they're all like, will you make butter chicken? I said, it just takes a really long time. And he sent me like his Snapchat where they're all like, butter chicken. And so of course, I made them the butter chicken, but they each have their own favorites of some of the different things that I make at this point. And so, at first I start out thinking, oh, I'll just make different things all the time. And now it's like, I make the same stuff over and over for them because it's like, when you go to a restaurant and you're like, I am getting this dish. This is my favorite thing. Yes. And it's not that you're unwilling to try the other things, but you're like, oh, I love this so much. And I only go to this restaurant like maybe once every 8 months. And I'm going to have that thing that I love so much. It's like we do that. And so I think kids will do that too, especially if you find a few things that you're really good at making, then that really helps. You don't have to like have 5 million different ideas out there to do.
And not everybody wants to be the house where all the kids come over and hang out, but I want my house to be that house. I want the kids to know that it's a safe space. Now, that does not mean that I will provide drugs or alcohol. That's off limits. There's no hanky-panky coming. Like as a parent, if you have a kid that's coming over my house, they will be supervised. There will not be anything illegal happening at my house. Like you and I have no tolerance for that. That does not mean we're trying to be the cool parent and let our kids do whatever. No, there are rules and boundaries, but there's something to be said. Kids feel like they're safe at your house, Logan. And you sent me that snap. You sent me that whole snap exchange, the text between Walker and his buddies. They love to hang out and congregate at your house. And there's nothing like having the kids over at the house, just conversing, hanging out, and they're there because you're feeding them and they feel like it's a safe place to go.
And I really think too, you and I have talked about it a lot, with regards to, being the fun house or whatever. I just totally disagree with it. The fun house is where shenanigans happen. And you did a podcast maybe like a year ago with a woman who's an expert on teen drinking and basically
Right.
says that like the earlier that they're exposed to it, the more likely they are to have issues with it in the future.
Mhm.
And very shortly thereafter, I sent my younger son's like group of friends, all the moms, I sent them your podcast and I was like, listen to this for one. And for two, know that none of that stuff is going to be happening at my house. And we've always kind of had the policy of like, you show up at my house in some kind of a state, I'm sending you back to your people to deal with you. Like, you ain't gonna be my problem. We have friends who are in a different camp than us on that. And frankly, like we've got different rules for those people and how we let our kids interact. And I don't really feel like I owe any apologies about that. But what
Right.
people can know is that like when they come to our house, they're gonna have good, clean fun. And something that I think I have really found too is that I think when they know that that's off the table, the fun that they have really is like memorable fun. And it doesn't end up getting them into trouble either. It doesn't cause
Yeah.
them like other consequences. So like Walker and his buddies will like play basketball, or we have my younger son is into golf. So we sort of cobbled together like a simulator kind of thing in the garage.
Uh-huh.
And so they'll like do that out there. We've let them like chop down trees in the backyard. We kind of just let them do some of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
This house is good for entertaining because we have a basement. And so there's a pool table down there. And so they can do that kind of stuff. We also, with Walker, and he's my older one, Hudson's my younger one, they are very, very different. And so Walker and his buddies were wanting to go to like Buffalo Wild Wings to watch these like UFC fights when he was like a junior in high school. And we're like, you're not going to do this and not come home till like 1 a.m. And so we ended up like starting to pay, which I'm like, I can't even believe this because I cannot watch this stuff. We would pay for like a UFC fight. It'd be like $90 for them to watch this like UFC fight. And I would make a bunch of food and all the boys would come and like watch UFC and shoot baskets and like eat all the food. And they make a total mess. So I think if you want,
because they're boys.
yeah, because they're boys. I think if you want kids to be able to come to your house, like you can't have your house be so precious. And so, I mean, I like my house. I think it's pretty. I obviously collect pretty things. And so I don't think that it means like that they get to take all your sofa cushions and beat each other up and destroy your stuff. But I do think like you just can't, you can't worry about things being messy. And, but it's okay too to be like, y'all clean up before you leave. Like, and they all pitch in and clean up and it takes like 5 minutes, you know? So I just think having space, like creating space and figuring out the things that they're interested in. Hudson and his buddies really like fishing. There's like this pond in the neighborhood that on occasion they catch a fish, you know, so we're like, oh, y'all come over here and then we'll feed you and you can fish in the pond. Or so I think it's finding the things that your kids are interested in and just making space available. And then they're always hungry. So having food.
Making the butter chicken. And it doesn't have to be anything. Look, you and I, like you have meals prepped for months in containers in the freezer. I am the type that's like buying it on the fly. I might order a pizza. So you don't have to overthink it. I hate cooking. You love cooking.
Right? But I do both, Paula. Sometimes I prep stuff in the freezer for the days that I don't feel like cooking.
Right.
So we still eat out plenty.
It's too much work for me. So that's still too. So I don't want people to be like, I have to be a chef. No, we're like, just go to Little Caesars and grab some pizzas. But just if you feed your people, I guarantee you're going to be the house where all the kids want to hang out.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, find out the things that some of the kids love too.
Right.
Both my boys are allergic to peanuts. So like we don't have peanut stuff here.
Oh, wow.
You know, so like, but it doesn't matter. Like now, if one of their friends' favorite thing ever is a Reese's peanut butter cup, like I'm probably not going to have that here. But like in general, like find some of the things that your kids' friends like. I mean, we've ordered pizzas for them plenty of times. So please do not think that like I'm always cooking something great. I am not. It's to the point now where, you know, my kids would be like, hey, can so-and-so come for dinner? And then it's sort of like if one can come, then two can come. If two come, I'm like, bring 5. Like, I don't even care at that point. And so I've really figured out a few things that I can make like a bunch of. I make like a gumbo that feeds a whole ton. I make this like homemade bread that's really easy. And the boys, who doesn't love fresh bread?
Did you just say homemade bread? Really?
I do. I'll give you the recipe.
Wait, no. Do you make sourdough? Because I feel like there's
No,
two types of people. Those who
no,
make sourdough and my sister
no.
loved I have friends that make it, but I feel like you have a totally different skill
I
set
don't
with
have my
baking.
acts together to make sourdough.
Okay.
You have to be
Okay.
too much of a pre-planner. I need to keep other things alive in my home besides like some yeast concoction. So, like, I don't need to be like feeding a jar of
Yep.
something. I'm doing good to like water my plants. So no, I make bread that I can decide that day I'm making it and then I can make it. I don't have
Mhm.
patience or forethought
Yeah.
for a lot of these things.
If your kids and their friends aren't hanging out at your house, it's probably because you're not feeding them. Just having snacks, having the food that they love, just kind of being that house where they feel like they can be themselves. And I know that you have a bunch of recipes that you can make in batch, like you said, the gumbo.
I do.
What are a couple of other ones that aren't super involved?
I'll send the bread. I make
Okay.
spaghetti bolognese. They really like that. Like you
That was
make a
good. You made that for
vat.
me.
Oh, I did make you that. So I have
Yes.
bolognese sauce. I can make like a vat of bolognese.
You sent me a taco soup recipe, didn't you?
Taco soup I make for them. And my kids know how to make taco soup now too. So I'm like,
Dude, that's great.
my boys are going to get married one day and their wives are going to be like, can we have something other than taco soup that you make?
But guess what? Your boys
So
are going to get married and their partners are going to realize that you taught them how to cook.
I taught them how to cook. I
You
have.
taught them how to
Now
cook.
they don't know how to make all of this stuff. I've made before biscuits and gravy. They really like
Good
biscuits and gravy. It's like
one.
a good brunch thing. Like if kids
Yeah.
sleep over, then I make biscuits and
Uh-huh.
gravy in the morning. I'm trying to
See,
think what
I'll
else to
do
make.
that. I'm good at the breakfast the next day because I can make
Tacos are good
bacon.
too. Yes.
Yeah. Tacos are easy. Taco soup is
Tacos are
something you can
so
throw.
easy. Taco soup is good. I
Taco.
make this like pork roast that I'll send you and I'll make tacos with it. Or you can make like barbecue sandwiches.
Oh, that's a
Or
great idea.
I'll buy like the 15 pounds of it at Costco and I make it all at one time just because I'm like, if I'm going to bother, I'd rather just bother once. And
Mhm.
then I vacuum seal it and freeze it. And so I can pull those out and I've made nachos on the fly because with teen boys, one must always have chips and salsa in the
Always.
pantry. Always.
Always.
So have chips, salsa, cheese, tortillas because they'll make like a quesadilla. You know, I'm like, boys are forever eating this
Right.
kind of stuff. And so then you can make nachos, like
Yes.
easy and fast.
I like that. But the volume of food that teenagers and their friends go through,
It's
I mean,
unbelievable.
I will say it can get expensive to feed everybody.
It is
It can.
expensive to feed everybody. Yeah, it totally is.
They're so pricey, these kids.
And I think too, like I have noticed now, I mean, we pay attention to our health in our family.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like feeding teenagers, like if all you're ever giving them is like a quinoa bowl, they're at some point, teen boys are going to be like, we need some beef and potatoes. You know,
Yeah.
like they want like stuff that fills them up. And so like I will feed them rice and beans and potatoes and, you know, like just stuff that fills boys up. And so we've got a couple of friends who's like my boys, their friends, their moms were like really super healthy and their boys were always wanting to come to our house and have snacks. And my boys would come home from their house and be like, we're so hungry. They only let us have one quesadilla for dinner because I do think no one is wanting their children to like struggle with like unhealthy eating habits in any way, you know, but it's like teen boys do. I mean, and you know, you've got them. They consume like untold amounts of food.
I
It's
don't even understand. My friend,
unreal.
our friend Jeannie Cunyon has 5
Yes,
boys. The
5.
food bill,
I cannot.
Yeah, it's hard to keep them fed. And you're like, I just bought a pound and a half of sliced ham from the deli yesterday, and it's gone.
Gone in a snack.
Hour.
That will be a snack for them. Yeah, they eat like hobbits basically. First
They really
breakfast,
do.
second breakfast, third breakfast.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So what have you noticed too? So when you're inviting them over, they want to come for the food, right? If you're feeding them. But I do find that kids also start connecting with you in different ways. I was reading an article about a woman who said, if you want to be the home where everybody comes to, just feed them. And she said she's still to this day, she'll hear from the kids about, college advice or personal finance, general life advice. Do you find that these kids are coming for the food, but they're opening up to you in different ways? Do you find that you're connected to them? I know
They
that.
do.
Yeah.
Some, I
Yeah.
think.
They're
I don't know.
boys.
I mean,
Some are boys too. Yeah.
there are boys. With girls, I feel like it's different. I don't have
Mhm.
girls. And I will say, like, kids that are coming to my house, my boys have good, like, guy friends. And so we tend to have more just groups of boys hanging out, which, I mean, we've avoided larger amounts of other shenanigan type things, just by having mostly guys around. I mean, there have been times that there were other girls here. And so I do feel like I connect with the girls and get to have chats with them. But I mean, as you know, boys tell you what they're going to tell you when they want to tell you. And when the
They're
moment has
different.
passed, it is past. And so I remember specifically at one point, a bunch of Walker's friends sitting in our kitchen. Like, we have a breakfast room there, and they're like eating and I'm feeding them. And I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm thinking, they're all chit chatting with me.
Yeah.
And I think, if I move at all, this will be over, because I think that that's how boys can be sometimes, teen boys. I remember talking to Walker one time in his room, and we're talking for like 30 minutes. I'm standing in the doorway and I'm standing there for so long, and we're having a really good conversation. And so I just go and sit on his bed because I'm like, oh, we're having this good conversation. And he goes, what are you doing? And I was like, well, we were having a good conversation. And so I thought maybe I would like sit and we could, and he goes, it's over now. And I was like,
The window was this small.
yeah, but I
Window
do
was this
feel like
small.
with boys, I can only speak to with boys. I would be so curious what like Jeannie would say
Yeah.
about it. And, if you've
Yeah.
noticed that too, but I'm like, with boys, when you catch them and they're in that moment, just don't change anything about the moment because it will be done. Like, don't,
Yeah.
if you're leaning on the kitchen counter, I mean, I remember even being afraid of like, if I shifted too much, that it would like alert them to my presence, even though they were talking to me, it's all of a sudden like, oh, so whoever that lady is, I admire her because none of my son's friends are calling me like, Miss Wolfram, I need
Yeah.
your advice about my financial situation. Like, none of them are doing that.
I feel like that's a little bit more, that's probably more tailored to girls. I mean, boys,
Yeah.
they just need to know that you're there for them. One thing I've noticed too, in getting my children's friends to kind of open up to me, is I just let them know that I'm there to cheer them on. So many
Yeah.
parents, and this is probably more of a sports analogy, but so many parents are going to a sporting event and they're only shouting their kids' names. They're only cheering for their kid. I try to make a mental note to cheer for all of the kids, to go up and encourage each of them so that they know that I'm for them. And that goes a long way. And it also takes pressure off my kids because they don't feel like it's all about them. And that's why so many kids are quitting sports to begin with, because the parents are putting too much pressure on them. But I love cheering for all of those kids out loud. I'm the loud mom at the games. I know that's really going to surprise you, Logan. You're the one that told me to buy a cowbell. I bought a cowbell.
I did.
Of you.
I did.
I forgot about that. Wow, you have influenced me in so many ways. I bought a cowbell because you told me, you actually sent me the link of what cowbell to get. Dude, I almost got kicked out of my daughter's volleyball game because
I
of that.
believe it. I've almost also been kicked out of a game because of the cowbell. I had a ref tell me one time to stop ringing the cowbell.
Same. The ref was looking at me. This
They
is
don't
a
like it.
playoff game. They don't.
But it's effective for cheering.
Yes.
And everybody knows. Everybody knows. Your kids' friends know. When you're cheering that cowbell for them, they're like, oh, yeah. Miss Paula. Miss Paula's got my back on this one.
And I'm cheering for all the kids. I'm not just cheering for my kids. So that cowbell is for everybody. And you know what
totally agree.
You know what the world needs more of?
Cowbell.
More cowbell.
It does.
More cowbell.
It does.
It does. My favorite.
I agree, though. You're so spot on with that. I think kids knowing that you're cheering for them and that you're for them and all the things. And I think even when we've had hard stuff, like with our kids and their friends, or they've made poor decisions or whatever, I mean, I have straight up looked at my son's friends and been like, we love you. We love you. And so I think it's important to say, like, I think this was a bad choice, dude. Or like, don't do that crap when you come to my house, but you know that I love you and I've got your back. And so I think like telling them that is important. I just think letting them know, like you're saying, cheering for them. Both of our kids are athletic. And so I think that's such a great place to be able to gather kids. I think you've already got a group of kids that are on mission together. And so
Mhm.
it's really easy for you to be like, hey, JJ, why don't you invite your basketball team over after the game and I'll make a big pot of chili or whatever. And so I think
Yep.
like doing it around some of the stuff that they're involved in, it makes it really easy to do. Or Walker's football team would have senior dinners and different moms would like have dinners for the senior boys. And it was a super, super cool thing to do. And so they would all come. And so I think just like being intentional, even with your community or the people that your kids are like in things with, or if they're all
Yes.
doing theater together or something, like invite
Uh-huh.
over the cast of the play to come and have a dinner after a rehearsal one night. Or, like I think just creating spaces when they've already got some stuff that's in there, you're just taking what they've given you and you're sort of expanding upon it. I think makes it easy to do too.
Yes. It's so good. And I think we've also lost that art of sitting down and eating with one another because so much
Yeah.
can happen over the dinner table. And that's why we have a pretty hard and fast rule at our house too. Even if the kids have company over, no phones at the table.
Same.
None. No. But that's not to say we have family dinner every night. We don't because of sports. So
Right.
no phones at the table. It's so important to connect, and connecting over food is where it happens. I mean, the families that eat dinner together or the families that sit down and take time together. So much of it revolves around food.
It's so biblical. That's a biblical perspective. I mean, hello, all the things.
We should have issued a warning before this podcast began that if you're hungry, don't listen.
We should have. We'll give them some recipes. We'll give them some recipes so that they can make it themselves.
What recipes are we going to link? You're going to link your gumbo.
I'll give you the bread because I've already got that typed up. I do have the gumbo typed up.
It is.
Bread
easy? Okay.
Yes, It was from a New York Times article years ago, and their stupid instructions, Paula, were like 3 pages long, and I'm good with the recipe, and I got confused. I'm like, this is so dumb. This is so much more complicated than it needs to be. So I got it down where it was short enough that I could fit it on one screenshot, like on a note. So now people can make it because I took all the complicated stuff.
Thank you for uncomplicating.
There was more stuff than it needed to be. So you really can't mess up this bread. So I'll send you that. I'll give you gumbo is one, chicken and sausage gumbo that my kids like. You have to make a roux. That's a little tricky-ish, but I can send you a dozen.
Is a roux like with, you're going to think I'm so stupid.
Butter and flour.
I knew it had flour. Okay. I didn't.
Flour
it's
and
just
butter.
Butter and flour? That's a roux?
Yeah, you got to just stir for a while. So that's the only bad thing about that one. But I can send you taco soup. That's easy.
That's easy, yes.
I'll send you some pork tacos, the pork roast that I make. I'll do that one for sure.
Okay. I love that. And then you can take
that one's good.
Put it on a nacho.
You can put it on a nacho. You can put it on a taco. You can put it on a bun with barbecue sauce. So that pork, if you were going to learn how to make one thing, let's make that pork roast. I'm actually teaching a gal how to make that this week.
I made a pork roast. My kids loved it. And you just sear it on every side. And then I put it in the slow cooker. And when it was done, I shredded it and put some barbecue sauce on it. And they loved it.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
This is, you just cook in the oven for like 4 hours. I've done it before in a crock pot, and I feel like not enough of the liquid sort of evaporates. And so it's too like watery almost.
Yeah.
So this one's just like 4 spices and some apple cider that you dump in around it and you just cook it. So
are there any parting words of wisdom or just final thoughts to any parents or grandparents or anybody listening and they just want to be the house where all the kids hang out? Any final thoughts you'd like to say?
I think maybe my best advice would be like, don't try to make everything so precious. Just like you said, that I have the gift of showing up, like just be present, like have the gift of availability. And I think that makes a big difference. And I think as much as you can say yes when your kids ask to have friends over, because if you're trying to like pre-plan things too often, I think that can be sort of an inhibitor too. So I really think like if they're wanting to have friends over, then be like, sure. And listen, just figure it out. Like keep stuff in your pantry that you can whip together, or nachos is like a great and easy thing. Just have snacks, like you said, like pizza rolls or whatever. And, you can always order a bunch of Little Caesars pizzas for $5 or $6 a pop. And so like, just be willing to like be on the fly. I think teenagers are the worst planners ever. So like if you're always just trying to like plan something precious, it's not going to happen. And then what'll happen is they'll all drop out. And so like you will have planned this whole wonderful thing and like unless their parents were involved, it may fizzle out. And so I think just being last minute availability is like really good. And don't feel like you got to be perfectly put together. My kids' friends have seen me in my pajamas like so much. I finally bought a special like sports bra that I could wear just because I was like, boys are around. And so like, you know, I can't be like freeing the girls out there, you know? And so it's like, so legitimately, I think you just have to be like yourself around them. But like, you know what I mean though? Like I'm not going to be wearing my regular jeans until 11:30 at night or 12 when they're going to leave. I'm going to put on my pajamas and my special sleepover sports bra. But seriously, you know what I mean? Just like be regular, be yourself, be available. And have food. So
well, you've done all of that for me. You have fed my family and you've been available. So, and you haven't like been too precious about any of it. So, and I gave you a new phobia at your mountain cabin, which is bats. So you can thank me for that.
Yep. I'll sleep with the covers over my mouth so a bat now doesn't crawl in addition to the spiders.
You're welcome, Logan. You're welcome for that one. I love you, friend. It was so good to connect with you. And I really do love that jacket. You're so creative and so artsy.
I'll hook you up.
Everybody needs a Logan in their life.
Everybody needs a Paula in their life.
Okay. Mwah. We're going to keep this conversation going in my personal newsletter. I will share with you Logan's PDF of all those recipes, the gumbo, the pork tacos, pork sliders, pork nachos, taco soup, all of that. I'm going to put that in my personal newsletter this week. Make sure you're signed up at paulafarisofficial.com. But we're going to keep this conversation going, especially as it is prom season. And we want to be the house where the kids hang out, not the safe place where we're giving them drugs and alcohol. And by the way, if you're doing that and my kid's over at your house, not going to be happy, and we will have some words about it. My takeaways are coming up in just a second. And also that phobia that Logan and I talked about, the bugs crawling down your throat while you sleep. I did a little research on it, and I'm going to have an answer for you in just a hot second. All right, my big takeaways from this conversation with Logan. Number one, feed them. If you want to be the house where all the kids hang out, all you have to do is feed them. You can find out their favorite snacks, find out what they're into. I loved what Logan said. She knew that the boys were into UFC fighting, so she paid for the fight. She ordered some food. She said, don't be so precious about having everything so perfect and planned, because kids, especially teens, they're not great planners. Newsflash for you, but they can also help clean up. That doesn't mean that just because you're not precious about what the house looks like. And by the way, they don't care what your house looks like. I'll be the first to admit, I always apologize when people come over to my house. I say, I'm sorry it's so messy. Kids don't care. They don't look at that stuff. All you have to do is feed them, find out their favorite snacks, what they're into, and kind of build it around there and be available. Kids like to plan things at the last second. It doesn't have to be perfect. And a reminder to all of us to just be available. Allow those last second hangs. Also, welcome them. Make them feel comfortable. Listen and show that you care. Cheer them on. I like to do this for my kids and their friends at sporting events, especially because I see a lot of parents. And I think I was that parent for a long time that was just there to cheer their kid on. And I realized how much pressure that was putting on my kid. And also, I'm not conveying to my child that the importance of sports is learning how to be a team player. It's not just about them. So cheer the other kids on. Let them know that you're invested in their future as well. And just be available for them. Lastly, a reminder, I'm going to link to Logan's PDF in the show notes, again, with those yummy recipes. I don't like cooking, you guys, so you don't have to be a master chef. I like to order food out, or I like to make easy things. So when I say feed them, I just keep it simple. You don't have to be a chef. You can be Chef Boyardee. Just keep it simple. Like Logan said, last minute things like nachos, chips and salsa. Find out their favorite snacks. And I did mention it just a second ago, but I want to underscore the importance. We're not talking about how to be the cool parent, the one that offers their kids and their friends drugs and alcohol and allows nefarious behavior to happen. No, that's not it. And the science actually works against that. And again, if I find out that my kid's at your house and you're offering my kid anything illegal when they're underage, not going to be happy. And if you're a parent and you've experienced this, you do have a right to say something and protect your child. Finally, I did put my journalist hat on regarding the phobia of insects crawling into our mouth while we sleep. Logan and I mentioned that. It is false. We do not swallow 10 pounds of bugs by the time we're X amount of years old. I researched it. I found this article on Forbes from an entomologist named Matan Shalomi. And he says, in terms of creatures that crawl into your mouth while you sleep, it is likely 0. Insects are not that stupid. They will not crawl into the warm, moist, I hate that word, CO2 exhaling cave that is pretty obviously the entrance to something big and living. Granted, some insects like roaches do occasionally crawl into ears and get stuck, but that's very rare. The idea that we swallow a certain number of spiders every lifetime /year/night is just an urban legend. So for Logan and myself and anybody else that has this phobia, we can rest well at night. It is just an urban legend. Okay, so next week I have the very funny Dr. Carla Naumburg, who wrote this book, How to Stop Losing Your Bleep with Your Kids. I like to say How to Stop Losing Your Calm with Your Kids, but her title is just so much better. How to Stop Losing Your You-Know-What with Your Kids. We are going to talk all about it. How to be a happier and less stressed parent. That's next week on the show as we continue to talk about it. We'll see you then. I know you guys thought you were done with me, but not quite yet. I have one more thing to tell you about. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to subscribe to the show. I don't want you to miss a single beat or a single conversation. And remember, my DMs are always open. Tell me what you want to talk about.